All right, so let's talk about week 3 deliverables. Again, so in this week of the Mastermind, we covered the weekly calendar and daily actions. Again, we've already covered themes. I think I've got a good database and a good start for the various kinds of themes in terms of the brainstorm and some of the constituent parts of those themes, which I think I'm super excited about, to have a little bit more structure and flow between the month-to-month kinds of things, and then to be able to further brainstorm everything from live events to content-oriented stuff to external-facing articles that will hopefully get people on the same page, but also be super useful in terms of the context of the big picture of stuff as well. So I'll just go over some of this real quick in terms of how it stands initially. Again, I really appreciate Gina's take on this in terms of consistency trumping density. That is something I certainly struggle with. I want to fill every moment of everybody's day and produce just tons and tons and tons of stuff. And if people aren't responsive, then it's my fault because I didn't work hard enough or whatever, which is just not a good, healthy way to approach it. So I think having some space even allows the members to breathe a little bit. I know as a member of like the What Works Network, which is amazing, there's just so much stuff. It can be really overwhelming really quickly. And I know that Tara even had some specific articles out there just saying, listen, you don't need to catch every event. You don't need to catch every single post. You don't need to use it however it's useful to you. Again, certainly check in as much as you want to and engage as much as possible. But the goal is not to overwhelm people with everything. And again, of course, that whole team produces such a ridiculous amount of awesome stuff. It's hard to not get the FOMO stuff going on with that. But anyway, so to space it out, I think is a good thing. Again, I fight that because I want to fill every day and fill every moment of everybody's stuff just to help people as much as I can. But I think that pacing, that flow, that spacing out, again, the negative space, huge concept in creativity and visual expression too, is that the time between things is just as important as the actual things themselves in order to define the thing. So again, I can talk and write about negative space a whole lot, but so I kind of push the boundaries with that. I do have 5 things, but in terms of my workload and stuff, I'll sort of describe what some of the stuff is and why I like it and why I'm kind of prioritizing it, at least to start with. Obviously, everything's flexible. If people aren't responsive to it, then we can adjust things as necessary. But so Monday, weekly intention. Again, how will you move forward this week professionally and creatively? How can the community help with this? This is something that I think is really important in terms of practice. It's something that I've found in terms of creative practice, in terms of professional practice. There's always so much stuff to do. It's really, really important to focus and prioritize. It's as important, going back to negative space, to decide what you are not going to do as it is to decide what you're going to do. Because you're going to be interrupted a lot, whether it's in a professional context, whether it's your Facebook feed. The whole economy, the whole attention economy is built around interrupting you to get your attention to do whatever they want you to do. So the practice of intent, the practice of intention is really, really important. And it doesn't have to be super specific, but it's just, okay, here's the direction we're heading. Here are the things that we want to get done. And it goes beyond even just goal setting. It's just a matter of, in your practice, in your regularity, in a consistent kind of fashion, deciding what you're going to try to accomplish in that week. How are you going to move forward? What's the 1% this week that you're going to focus on while still staying super flexible about it? And it helps to get it out on paper. It helps to get it into the community. It helps to get, I think when you put it in the community, again, it has a reinforcing mechanism there in terms of being responsible for it. So they do this with weight loss. They do this with all kinds of things. You're supposed to share your intention. You're supposed to share your goals. And I think that's a super useful part of the practice. Again, while still not beating yourself up if you didn't get to where you wanted to go. And then again, the next Monday you can start up again and shoot again, and you can carry stuff over, which again is a hugely useful sort of thing to learn how to do. Tuesday question conversation starter. Again, I've really despite some of the frustrations with the current status of Artnerd Society, some of the questions have been fantastic. And again, Audra talks about this quite a bit in terms of the most beneficial kinds of things, the most interesting conversations, the most responsive kinds of things, has been super useful. And it also gives you a sense of what the concerns are for the community, what concerns are for people in general. So it's nice to have some fun with that. It's nice to sort of structure things around that. And again, so what's nice about this restructuring of this redesign, again, is to, instead of just having a bunch of questions sort of randomly, is to have it relate to the theme as much as possible. And I'll show you how I implemented that in terms of it. I designed a real quick, rough questions database, which I'm happy to share with people. Wednesday, content publication discussion, article video. Again, I want Wednesday, Thursday, the middle of the week to kind of be open. So it could be Thursday, but I'm going to try to keep it consistent with Wednesday. And this will be the live events. This could be implementation sessions. This could be publishing of an article or a video or a conversation around that as much as possible. And to be as consistent every week, that have it be related to the theme, have it be responsive to the needs of people, but also to keep it open, to experiment a little bit. And again, for me at least moving forward, I want there to be a lot of overlap in terms of medium. So to write an article, which will then be turned into a video, even if it's just discussing the topics in the article, which then could become a podcast, which then could become a conversation. It could become a course. It could become part of one of the larger collaborations. But to have the thematic kind of deeper-ended stuff, the live stuff, the asynchronous stuff, the synchronous stuff, sort of be towards the middle of the week and hopefully be useful and available to people, which then gives the rest of the week to kind of have conversations about it, which I think will be good and also will feed into the reflection, which is Friday. So Friday, again, the flip end of intention is reflection. So to slow things down, to examine how did you move forward, what went well, what didn't go well, how can the community help, how can we help in terms of hosts, as being hosts. It's also a good chance to kind of call out, and I know that, again, What Works does this really, really well. Super interesting conversations that may have gone on during the week. As activity increases, as engagement increases, as a user, it's super useful because it curates things in a way that is very beneficial, especially if you're feeling a little bit overwhelmed. A lot of times, again, Mighty Network search is fantastic, but if you don't even know what to search for, it helps to have a little bit of direction in terms of some of those conversations that either you want to learn from or that you feel you can help with. So it's hugely beneficial to have that reflection period, to have that time to look at what you've done, look at what you've accomplished, to celebrate that as much as possible. And then Saturday, this kind of pushes the boundaries in terms of having too much stuff to do in a week. But the Saturday self-promotion thing is going to be a template that gets published on the time. So you can just, again, as a host, I'll create a singular template. It'll be the same every week. And what this is going to be, the intent of this is, one, to allow people to announce gallery shows, studio stuff, what's going on, share work if they want to, share their website. And what's nice about it is it takes the self-promotional kinds of stuff that people share and provides a place for it. So again, I don't anticipate people spamming their websites and things like that or their Instagram accounts. I do want to encourage them, as long as they're engaging with the community, to promote themselves, promote their work, to promote their projects, to promote their events, even if it's not integrated totally with Artnerd Society or approved by Artnerd Society necessarily. But it's really helpful to have a place to kind of direct people to keep them from muddling up the other kinds of stuff. So if they have a place to do that, if they have an expectation of that, it also makes it very easy for people to, hey, I wonder what's going on in the community this week. Maybe there's a show of somebody from the community, or maybe there's an event that is outside of Artnerd Society that people can, again, engage with that I think will be super useful just to have that. So again, it shouldn't be too much extra work on my part. We'll see how that goes, but I may even hold off on that until a month or two into the first 90 days. But certainly the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday thing will be the priority. And Wednesday in particular, the live events and the articles and the content, those kinds of things. So again, I saw some people doing this, which I think is a great idea, but the daily actions, kind of dividing between members and hosts. And this may hopefully be integrated in terms of the welcoming stuff and the onboarding as much as possible. This still needs a little bit of work, but I feel it's a starting point at least. So again, daily actions: share a post, comment, answer someone's question with experience you've had, answer the question of the week, sign up for a weekly event, watch recording of a previous event, join a collaboration, join a free course, join a paid course, message and introduce yourself to someone from your geographic area, message and introduce yourself to someone who shares your interests. You could continue to build on that just to try to create habits and hope to model behavior for members to make it super beneficial for everyone. Certainly hosts would want to do most of that stuff as well, but I was also, in terms of daily actions, is to tag people who should meet, introduce people to bring them in. I think that could be, you could create a whole event or something like that basically was about introducing people to one another in very overt kinds of ways, besides just tagging, although that can be really useful too. But to be like, hey, you should meet this person, you should meet this person, introduce yourself, kind of a thing. Obviously, reply to the comments and questions and get a sense of things. This is true in terms of practice. And again, I definitely did a lot of work on this in terms of, it comes from my academic background of not giving advice. Again, I think that's been a really useful kind of framework that Mighty Networks and Gina in particular encourages. But one thing that I found is really useful, and I still need to work on it personally, is to end every answer or comment with a question to encourage increased engagement. So it's not just giving an answer, it's also asking something to further the engagement. And this is I found this hugely important as an admissions advisor, is to ask questions and listen as much as possible, to guide the conversation in a way so that I really understand what they're actually asking, or what the concerns are, because sometimes it's hard to even know what question to ask. So as a host, as someone who can guide that, again, just following up with questions, not in an accusatorial way or anything like that, or an interrogative way that's like feels oppressive, but just to kind of keep the conversation going so that you can see where it kind of goes in general. So I think that's probably a really good practice daily for any kind of host who's engaging with the members and the community members and things like that. So that kind of covers any of that in terms of the structure and the daily actions. And I also just wanted to share really quickly, again, this is in Notion, but you could probably do it in Airtable as well. I'll probably share this if it's useful for people, but I collect questions like crazy and have been for a long time, and I brainstorm questions and things. So I, as a part of that brainstorming, if I see an interesting question online, or if I read a book that has interesting questions, then I grab it. So I've created a relatively substantive database in here that what's nice, and this will take a little bit of development. I don't know if I have the ambition to actually document responses, but you could always do that to see what people are interested in. I don't know if that's going to be necessary, but I may start to try to do that. But as part of the structure to kind of get ahead in terms of any of this, and again, you can get really in detail with this, but so these are some of the questions that I've either asked before or that I've found that have been interesting. And then you can tie it into themes. So I've got my themes database. And what's cool about this is this also can tie into the content in general. So that if you want to sort or filter, you can say theme, and you can do that. So again, transformation being one of the first sort of things, creative habits. And I need to go through this a little bit more, but so you can organize your questions by theme or by topic or any of that you want to. So that's that. I'm hoping to keep this organized and make it systematic that in a way that's going to prevent overwhelm and things like that, and also allow me to get ahead in terms of any of this stuff, so that it's less ad hoc and that it can. Again, the idea is to get 90 days ahead, if possible, in terms of a lot of it. In terms of the stuff that you can sort of structure, that you can plan for and publish, and then you can also I can integrate this into the content database that I'm creating. So it's coming together really well. I'm happy with it so far. Again, I need to do a little bit more work on the questions database. But again, if I only need one a week, and then I'll probably have some extras besides that I can throw in as necessary, depending on interest and things like that. But so that is essentially the week 3 deliverable. I'm excited to be flexible with it. I'm going to change things as necessary, but hopefully this will help. And again, I'll share this if people are interested. Feel free to steal any of these questions. Again, I always use steal. It's not really stealing. It's just sharing and being transparent. So yeah, if you have any questions about this or about even Notion stuff, I'm happy to help out. I probably will be designing a Notion course at some point if people are interested. So, because like I said in a previous video, that's been a game changer for me in terms of keeping things organized and keeping things fluid in various kinds of ways. And if people want to help, need help with that, need some sharing, any of this, then don't hesitate to contact me. So thanks again. We'll see you soon.